Alright, Schlockmeister fans, another re-review from my previous channel. It's The Night God Screamed. Let's check it out. Our movie starts with a bunch of Jesus freaks. This is Billy Joe Harlan, their leader.
They was all just a bunch of sinners, Lord, fighting and bothering each other. But I saved them. I made them see that using dope was the way to turn on to you. God is going to decide if this chick is a Judas. We got to rebaptize her, cleanse her soul.
So he detected there was a bad woman amongst his group. So they rebaptize her, but they leave her under the water a little too long. I think they did that on purpose. This is Willis and Franny. He's a traveling preacher. She's getting tired of his routine.
Very impressive.
So he buys this giant cross, and then he just happens to run into Billy Joe.
Work.
Well, I'm evangelizing tonight to raise money for the mission I run downtown. I rented a hall in the
You'd
park.
think they'd be on the same side, but Billy Joe doesn't appreciate this guy. So he does show up at his revival or whatever the hell he's doing tonight.
What is you hoodlums?
And he breaks in later on.
Patience. What do you think he's gonna do to you?
The power.
But I got the power.
So Billy Joe thinks Willis is a false prophet, so he's gonna make him pay. He's tying him to that giant cross that he bought earlier. They're gonna crucify him. He will not survive this. They take off, and Franny comes out to find her husband dead. So the dudes get arrested.
Mr. Foreman, what is the verdict of the jury?
We, the jury, find the defendant Billy Joe Harlan guilty.
Billy Joe doesn't react well.
You son of a bitch! You dumb son of a bitch! You're making me a martyr!
This court is adjourned.
Exiting the courtroom, she gets taunted by some of Billy Joe's followers.
All the laws that have...
Fast forward a year later, she's back in town, and somehow she's befriended the judge who sentenced him. The judge wants him to babysit his 4 older kids for the weekend. They're going out of town. The 4 kids appear to be about 25 to 27 years old, but they're supposed to be kids, and the parents were basically saying, we want an adult in the house. The kids are not happy with the babysitter. And then the calls start coming.
Coogan residence. Hello, this is the Coogan residence. Who's calling, please? Coogan residence.
Vengeance is mine.
Who is
Those who judge shall be judged, and the sentence is death. Tonight.
I am going to the house. Wait.
So
Now
is
look,
somebody
don't want any none.
stalking the house?
That property belongs to a judge. You know what's good for you. You'll get off.
They found a stranger in the yard. But in closer inspection, it's not a person. It's a mask. Clearly something is afoot. Everybody's a little freaked out now. Of course, the kids are still pissed off because they all had plans this weekend, but they're basically forced to stay at home with the babysitter.
The best place for all of us is right here, where it's safe.
Is it?
So are Billy Joe's followers really seeking vengeance tonight? The lights go out. It does appear someone's around. There was one of the kids.
Scott got away.
Said he should be back with the Johnsons in about 10 minutes or so.
Yes, your plan worked.
A hooded figure comes in.
I should have tried to help him.
Guilty. Guilty. Penny, help me.
Help me!
Nancy, is that you?
They've got! If you don't come out, they're gonna kill me!
After a brief struggle, she falls down the steps. And she's dead. And then the big reveal. It's the kids. All of them. They were simply trying to scare her so she would go away so they could continue with their weekend plans.
She's dead.
You killed her.
I just pushed her away.
You said we were only going to scare her, said she'd leave us alone.
I wanted her to go, you heard me. We've got to get all of our stories straight. What do you want us to say, Peter? Well, Mrs. Pierce was nutty anyway. They'll believe she could have done something crazy.
Peter, what do we tell them?
I'm thinking.
And then the phone rings. But it's not them this time.
Hello?
The sentence is death for Judge Logan's children. And the execution is tonight.
All right, let's talk about The Night God Screamed. I have a pre-recorded VHS of this. I'm not exactly sure where I obtained it, but I have it. The movie's never been released on DVD, so what you're seeing here is some homemade box art. Burned it myself and made some box art for it. So anyway, this movie, I think, used to show up on some horror shelves here and there, and I guess what made it stood out was that character in the beginning of the movie, the Jesus guy. He kind of looks like Charles Manson, so we thought maybe this was some sort of Manson-related helter-skelter thing. Not even close. So anyway, what we have here in the beginning, we see some Jesus freaks who are like led by this leader named Billy Joe or something like that. Harlan, Billy Joe Harlan, I don't know. And they're doing some sort of ceremony down in the river. They're going to baptize this woman or something. I don't know. And they end up drowning her, which they don't think is a big deal. Well, ultimately, he ends up going to court. He gets arrested, and he and his cohorts are sentenced to death by the judge. Well, actually, fast forward, I went a little too far. Later on, after that drowning incident, they ran into this traveling preacher guy, and he's got this giant cross, and these Jesus freaks think it's some sort of blasphemy that he has this. So they end up killing him later on. They actually crucify him to that cross. That's what gets them arrested and thrown in jail. Nobody ever finds out about that poor girl who drowned. So anyway, fast forward a year later, the widow of the woman whose husband was crucified comes back to town, and for some reason she's enlisted to babysit the judge's kids. Now, first of all, the judge's kids all look like they're 24 years old. And I don't know what she's doing, having some sort of association with the judge after the fact, but whatever, that's the plot. So anyway, the judge is basically, and the judge's wife has told their kids that, look, I feel a little better with an adult in the house, even though they're all old, but whatever, right? So anyway, somehow they got a hold of this chick, the widow, and she's going to take care of them. Well, all four of the kids are against having a babysitter. They think they're too old and they're going to be stuck here. One of them is missing some sort of baseball tournament. One of them is missing a date. They're all pissed off. So anyway, the lady comes over and she's watching them, and all of a sudden she starts getting weird phone calls, and we're led to believe that the associates of Billy Joe, or whoever the Jesus freak guy, and the other Jesus freaks are like going to come after her now that she's back in town, and they're like stalking the house. The lights go out. There's seems to be somebody in the yard. It basically turns into a home invasion type thing. Each one of the kids kind of goes off to investigate on their own, and they end up dead. Ultimately, near the end of this movie here, she's confronting one of them, and she ends up falling down the stairs and dying. Well, once she falls down, we see the person who was scaring her take off the hood, and it's one of the kids. And it turns out all four of the kids were in on this. They were trying to scare her so that she would leave. Their parents are out of town, the judge and his wife. They're out of town. They thought she would get spooked and leave, and then the four kids could go off and have their own whatever they had planned to do before their parents basically grounded them for the weekend. But it didn't turn out that way. She ended up falling down the stairs and dying. And then the kids are like, what are we going to do? We're going to have to lie about it, blah, 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 whatever. And that's pretty much how our movie ends. Actually, there's one final scene where the phone rings, and it says on the other end is somebody saying, the children of Judge Coogan, your time has come, and your revenge is tonight, or something like that. So basically, we're led to believe that, yes, the Jesus freaks are around, and they are going to take revenge on the judge's kids tonight. So it would have been great if they had a babysitter to help them, but they killed a babysitter. So anyway, that's the double twist at the end of this movie. So that is The Night That God Screamed. It's 85 minutes long. It's a short film, and it's a silly little ridiculous film, but you know what? It didn't bore me. It just kind of kept going quickly, and it was over fast. So no nudity, no real violence, or blood, a little bit, maybe not much, but it's just a strange little film. Very weird. I don't know, 1971. Like I said, not available on DVD anywhere as far as I know. So this is what you got to do to get it. So anyway, I will leave you a link down below to the VHS tape for Amazon, assuming they carry it, and I think they do. I looked it up. So you can get it for about $30 right now if you hurry. And that's it. The Night That God Screamed. So anyway, check it out. Leave some comments. Let me know what you think. If you've watched this little relic, watch it. Bye.